Welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. In this episode, our guest is Tyler Christensen. Tyler is a teacher, professional speaker, and the host of this channel, Virtual School Assembly. Tyler draws on his experience losing 100 pounds and running a 50-mile ultramarathon as he speaks to teachers and students about the importance of healthy living. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Thanks, Natalie. Natalie's filling in as host today because I didn't want to host myself, but I wanted to do this last episode to share some messages with you as we wrap up season 1 of Virtual School Assembly. First, thank you so much for being part of this channel, for watching and for subscribing. It's been amazing to see the support that's come in from the guests as well as those who are watching as we're all working together through the coronavirus and through all the craziness that's happened here in 2020 as we try to be better students and better human beings. My message today has to do with the lessons that I've learned in these 50 episodes of Virtual School Assembly. As I've watched and as I've hosted and asked questions of all the guests, there have been certain themes that have gone throughout the season. And I've tried to take the advice of all the different guests and implement those things in my own life. And I found that there are basically 3 areas that I've tried to work on in particular to make the most of this situation. So the first thing is physical health. A lot of the professional athletes who have come on, and even some of the people who are just speakers or other celebrities, have talked about the importance of moving and taking care of our physical health. Well, that was something I was already interested in. As was mentioned in the intro, a few years ago, I lost 100 pounds. I ran a 50-mile ultramarathon. Actually, it was 52.4 miles. It was a double marathon. And as I got my health back in my life, I found that I was much more productive and much more happy. And I talked a little bit about that in the last episode as I explained some of my backstory. But then as the coronavirus hit and we all were forced home to work from home or to learn from home, I again struggled just like everyone did with being home all the time, having junk food, having, being stuck behind a computer for much of the day. And so I had to recommit to taking care of my physical health. Now, fortunately, my wife was on board, my kids were on board. And so every day as we were doing school in the morning together, we would take breaks throughout the morning to do micro movements like Kyle suggested in episode 4. And we would do dancing down here in the basement. We would come down every morning and dance together for a few minutes. We'd go out back and jump on the trampoline together. And I committed to myself to getting out of the house more. We live out in the country, so I could go running out on our dirt trail. And so instead of just doing that a few times a week, I started going out multiple times a day, either walking or running, just to get out and to take care of my physical and my mental health. But I saw that I needed even more of a boost. And so I did what I called the Corona Challenge. And it was just for me, but I decided that every day I was going to increase the amount that I was exercising. So I increased my physical activity in both cardio and strength training. I made my diet a little more strict. And the cool thing about that is over these last few months, I've actually lost a little bit more weight, a little more body fat, and have gotten a little stronger. And so that has helped me in the other areas of my life as I've taken care of my physical health. It's helped me with my mental health and just my overall productivity. So I'm really grateful for all the guests that have come on and emphasized how important that is, because as I've taken their advice, it certainly has made a difference in my life. The second area is mental health. And there are a lot of things that we can do to take care of our mental health, but some of the suggestions that really stuck out to me, a few people talked about the importance of routine, having a routine that we stick to, and that's really helpful. Others have talked about the importance of relationships and making sure that we're reaching out to others and having contact with others. Now, I kind of got that just by interviewing so many people on this show. I made a lot of new friends and met a lot of awesome people. But also here at home, I've had this extra time to be with my wife and my children and to spend real quality time with them. And I think that has really helped my mental health as I've worked on strengthening those relationships as we've worked on things together, have had projects that we've worked on together. We've done a lot of things working out in the yard and fixing up our basement. And even the kids and I are taking a class together where we're learning how to write fiction. So we're all writing our first fiction novels this summer. And so that's been really fun to work on projects together as a family. I've also been able to be supportive of my children as they've started their own projects and have started new things. So that's been a cool thing for me. The third thing, and a lot of people talked about this, a lot of the Hollywood celebrities that came on, as well as others, talked about the importance of trying new things. We have this extra time where we're at home. Let's develop new skills. And I've always been interested in a lot of things. And that's in the last episode, I talked a little bit about how I've written books, how I do product reviews, how I'm a sports writer, how I do web design for celebrities. So I already have a lot of things going on. But this pandemic has given me the opportunity to try to really build on some of the skills that I wanted to develop. So for me, it started with filming math videos for my students. I started just filming all the lessons and putting them up on YouTube. And then as I started virtual school assembly, that gave me the opportunity to work further in video production, something that I've always wanted to learn more about, but have never had the time to do. So during these last few months, I've learned a lot about YouTube. I've watched a lot of videos on how to edit videos. I'm even listening to podcasts on how to do podcasts and things like that. So virtual school assembly for me has been an opportunity to develop a new skill. And a lot of people have asked, well, how did you meet all these incredible people? How have you got all these celebrities on your show? And the truth is, it's because I saw something that I wanted to develop and I took action. And so as I was developing a skill, the other skill was learning how to network and reach out. And it's been a grind. I've probably contacted well over 1,000 people to be on the show and to feel out who would be a good fit for the show. And so it's not like I'm just sitting around and I just got lucky. It's been a lot of hard work and a lot of consistent work where I'm reaching out every day and doing a lot of work between the video, shooting the videos and then editing the videos. And now I have to transition into sharing the videos with others and making sure that people know about this resource. And so that will be a new skill that I work on developing for the rest of the summer. And it has certainly come at a cost. There's been a real opportunity cost here because I've shifted, before I was doing professional speaking, I had my TED Talk that I was going to do and other things where I was really excited to publish my book and do other things, but I put all those things on hold because I really feel like virtual school assembly is a worthwhile thing. And so I've put hundreds of hours into this and, eventually life will come back and I'll be able to get back into schools to do professional development and to do assemblies for students. And I want to be doing that as soon as I can, but I've also realized that the world has changed. And so this is an opportunity to develop new skills and try new things out. So my challenge for you as we wrap up this season, this first season of Virtual School Assembly is take advantage of these resources. Do the things that they suggest. If you're not working on developing a new skill, if you're not taking care of your mental and physical health, now's the time to start. We still have a lot of life ahead of us, and even in the summer, there's a lot of time to work on new things. So I challenge you to take the advice of the guests and try some things out and see how it works for you. And so that's my message for this week. I think the host has some questions, so let me turn you over to her.
Well, hello. It's lovely being here.
Thanks.
Yeah, I do have a few questions. You talked about the Corona Challenge being to help with your physical goals of losing weight, being healthy. Did that also help with your mental health goals?
Well, sure. So when you feel good physically, that's going to impact other areas of your life. So when you're taking care of your physical health, you're going to sleep better at night. So you're going to be more productive during the day just because of sleep. But also you're going to have more mental clarity. When I exercise, when I go running, that's when I get my best ideas. And so that helps just with mental clarity. As far as your actual mental health, when you feel good inside, it helps upstairs as well. And so absolutely, I think there's a correlation there. What do you think? Do you think it has helped? You've seen me.
Well, I know it helps me a lot. So I was just curious if you had noticed a difference with your own routine and exercising.
Yeah, I think the routine was really what was critical because I feel like I was already doing a lot of good things and living a healthy life before coronavirus hit. But sticking to, creating a new routine and then falling into that has really helped me feel like I can make progress. Like I have goals that I'm still working towards, and I have things to look forward to. And that has, for me, has been helpful. I haven't felt any of that despair that a lot of people have felt just because I've continued to have things to work towards.
That is great. Tell us about, you mentioned that your children have been working on some projects. So tell us about some of those.
Yeah, our kids are awesome. So we'll talk about them for a second. One of the really cool things is moving into, once we got sent home to work from home and learn from home, we explained to our kids that a lot of our plans for 2020 would have to be put on hold. We were planning on 2020 being this epic year where we're going to go on this awesome road trip over the summer. We're going to go through Texas and try to see Dude Perfect, which was a pipe dream. But we were like, we can make this happen, right? And we were planning on doing all these fun things over the summer, saving up money for different things and working on different projects. Well, most of those things had to be either canceled or put on hold. And so one thing that early on, I explained to the kids, well, we have this extra time. Let's work on some projects at home. And if we finish these projects, then we can work on these projects. And the whole goal was to improve our quality of living. So for example, a few of the projects out in the yard is we were going to dig some post holes, put some cedar planks in, sand them up, and then lay some hammocks. And then our backyard would be more comfortable. With that, we were building a fort. And so the kids would have a place to hang out outside, a really fancy fort that this person took lead on, and it was incredible. We'll throw up a picture so you can see what it was. But we wanted to finish that, and then we needed to put in a rock path, and we needed to finish landscaping around our lawn. And so if we finished those projects, then there were projects inside. One, that would make it more comfortable so we could have more fun out in the yard since we'd be spending more time at home. So that was a great incentive to have the kids help us. So it wasn't just me and Natalie doing the projects, but the kids would help. But then also, if we finished those, then we could move on to working on the bathroom in the basement so that the kids would have a better bathroom. And we could work on, I promised my son that by time he started high school, we'd have some cool toys down here. So I was going to purchase a kit so we can put together an arcade cabinet and build that out. And if we finished the projects outside, then we could start working on the projects inside. Well, our older son really took that to heart, and he's like, well, let's get these all done so we can have all this awesome things to do over the summer. So he helped with all of those projects. He went out and helped put down the path. He went out and sanded the cedar planks. He went out and helped with the fort and really took ownership over those things so that before we even got into the summer vacation, we were able to order the arcade cabinet, and he put it all together. He learned how to do the technology to do the wiring for the joysticks. And now we have this killer arcade that the kids can play with downstairs because they took the initiative to wrap things up. Now, that's just on the home projects. Both he and our older daughter have decided they wanted to earn money this summer. So our son started mowing lawns, and he's been going door to door, taking flyers and asking people how he can help. And he's gotten some business doing that, and he's saving up. He's only 14, but he wants to buy his first car. He wants to get a Mustang. And so he's saving up for that. And, our neighbors and the people in our community want to help. And so they're giving him their business so that he can save up for that car. Our daughter, who's 12, she wanted to earn some money too. She saw him working hard, and so she wanted to do that. So she came up with the idea of creating an ice cream truck, but she doesn't have a truck. So she built an ice cream cart with her bike, and we converted a stroller attachment for the bicycle, and she branded that. She made a t-shirt and a hat, and then she made flyers and took them around. And now she goes around a few times a week playing the ice cream music on her phone and having that go throughout the neighborhood so she can sell ice cream treats. And she's earning some money that way. Is that any other projects they've been doing? I mean, it's been awesome that they've taken the initiative to work hard on these projects so that they can have a fun life here at our home now that we're stuck home so much, but that they're also looking to their future. And I guess that's the other thing is we've had conversations as a family especially early on when COVID hit and the markets were tumbling. And we looked at the stock market and it was kind of depressing. But, Warren Buffett always says, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And we told our kids what that meant and shared with them some ideas on how they could invest in the stock market. So as they've saved their money doing all these extra things, they've actually bought a bunch of shares of stock, especially depressed stocks, because like the airlines and other overseas manufacturing and things have really been depressed. So they've purchased stocks, and over the last few months, those stocks have really skyrocketed as the stock markets come back up. And so they've made a ton of money just by investing in the stock market. And that's a long-term play for them, so they're not going to cash that out. But now they're so much further ahead in their long-term investing, which is super cool.
It is cool. And it could be they had so many positive things to think about. Didn't have to spend so much time thinking about the negative.
That's true. That's true. And I think they've been really positive throughout. They've been great kids.
Yeah. If you were to do this process over again, starting virtual school assembly, is there anything that you would change in the process?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't really know what I was doing. I have a podcast called After the Run where I share advice from what I've learned about my health and weight loss. So, and there's a YouTube channel for that has some things. I'd never interviewed other people, and I didn't know what that would be like using Zoom and stuff. I was really nervous, but I decided, I heard once, I think there was a book that was called Ready, Fire, Aim. And I thought, I just need to take action now and then figure it out as I go along. And that's what I did. And you can even see from the first episode to the last episode, the quality of the video and the editing has improved a little bit. But honestly, I've been so busy that I haven't been able to implement a lot of things. I do plan on making a lot of changes from season 1 to season 2 as far as the video production. So I'm learning as I go along. If I had that knowledge now, or then that I have now, would I have done things differently? Absolutely. And I would have tried to improve the quality. I would have tried to prepare the guests better so they knew, the best way to position their cameras and how to have good backgrounds and things like that. So just little things like that. And moving forward, I'm going to implement that with my new guests. And already we've filmed like 20 episodes for season 2, and I have another 20 scheduled. So we have some incredible guests coming up. American Ninja Warrior, some Olympians, some professional football players, NFL, NBA, a lot of actors from Hollywood. And so I didn't have a lot of those guests early on in season 1. Season 2 is full of them because I've created more relationships and continue to work. So I think it's just a process. It's working hard. I'm launching the podcast in a few weeks. And so, there's a lot to learn between now and then, but I'm just learning as I go, trying to do what, they're telling us to do on the show, which is just try something out. So that's what I'm doing.
That's great. Well, we have a lot to look forward to for season 2, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. My final question. What are some of the speaking topics that you share with others on the stage?
Oh, so not on virtual school assembly, but when I actually go to schools.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So when I go to schools, most people want to hear about the weight loss because I did lose 100 pounds. And more important than that, the scale doesn't really matter so much, but I actually lost over 20% of body fat. And so I was getting healthier. I wasn't just losing weight. And so it's cool to share that story, but the better part of that story is what I learned in doing research as I was losing weight on the impact that diet and exercise was having on me as a learner. I'm a lifelong learner. I want to do better as a teacher. And I want to be more productive as a writer and in all the other things that I'm doing. And so when I go to schools, I share about how when we exercise, it actually triggers things in our brains that helps our long-term memory, and it helps us to learn more effectively, to retain information better. And so that as we exercise and as we get healthier, it's actually making us better students, better teachers. And so I'm really arguing for more recess, for more PE, for teachers to go with their students to recess into PE. So I do that with my students. We're dancing in the classroom all the time. So I have a lot of practices that we do in the classroom between just exercises, push-ups, jumping jacks, sit-ups. But we're doing those things in our classroom, not just because it's fun, not just because it gives us a break from other things, but because it actually makes us learn better. And so I love sharing that message with students. when I talk to teachers, when I do teacher professional development, I often share that same message. But the other thing that I go when I talk to teachers is I love to read. This year alone, I've already read 100 books. So in the first half of the year, I've read 100 books. So I'm on track to read 200 this year. And that's more than I normally would read in a year. Normally, I only read about 50 books a year, like one a week. But I am really committed to being a lifelong learner myself, and I want to pass that on to my students. And so when I talk to teachers, I talk about how you can help your students love to read, because often as teachers, what we hear is, well, I just don't like to read. And I don't buy that. Most students, in my experience, that say they don't like to read is because they haven't found the right kind of books yet. And I've had so many students that I've taught who came in saying, I don't like to read, but by the end of the year with me, they love to read and their reading scores are going off the charts. My students average 2 or 3 grade levels above where we're supposed to be in reading, because we're reading in class, we're talking about books, we're going through different reading strategies. And so when I go and talk to teachers, I talk about what they can do to first model good reading practices and to be readers themselves, because if you're not doing it yourself, you're not going to have the same impact. But then 2, what can you be doing in class to help your students become better readers? So I love talking to teachers about reading in particular. Reading makes us better at math. It makes us better at science. And, if you're a good reader, you're going to do better across the board. So I just think that's critical, especially in the lower levels. And so that's what I talk about often when I go to schools.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Those are very helpful topics.
Thanks.
And thank you for joining us on Virtual School Assembly.
Thanks. And thanks, Natalie, I had her on. If you haven't seen episode 25, that's my favorite episode because that's where I interview her. And she shares some of the things that she's been doing over the summer and what we've been doing with our family, and talks about how, there's a time and a season for everything. And this has been a difficult time for a lot of people. But we've learned so much doing Virtual School Assembly together. It's been a group project. And what we've learned from the guests, and I hope you'll go back through the archives and watch those, because there's so much to learn and so much to know and to grow. So I hope you'll check it out. And then season 2 is coming right up. Like I mentioned earlier, we're recording those right now, and we're going to launch as soon as school starts for the 2020-2021 school year. So look for mid-August to start putting out the episodes for season 2. Have a great summer, and we'll see you again soon.